And these comments come from a whistleblower who is a former Boeing manager at the 737 plant in Renton, Washington. He will be testifying at a congressional hearing on Wednesday about his concerns regarding 737 production, concerns that he says he brought to management regarding the craftsmanship, the workmanship in the facility in Renton. However, we should point out, none of the concerns that he brings up in terms of rushed production, employees being tired, none of them have to do with the MCAS flight control software, which is at the heart of the two crashes for the 737 MAX, and that's really what the focus is in terms of the grounding of these aircraft and ultimately, if they're going to be recertified, having MCAS be improved. So as you see shares under pressure right now, publicly, this is a bad black eye. There's an article in the New York Times. His comments about what he's going to testify to on Wednesday will be getting a lot of play over the next day. He's going to be at NBC Nightly News tonight with more of his comments. But again, none of his concerns that he brought to the company were regarding MCAS and the flight control software, more about what he considered to be rushed and shoddy production at the 737 plant. By the way, in the article in the New York Times, which has just been posted, Boeing says that they took all of his concerns and complaints seriously. We're going to hear more from Boeing and obviously from this whistleblower, Ed Pearson, on Wednesday on Capitol Hill.
All right, yeah, Phil LeBeau with an article there on the New York Times. Phil, thank you very much. Let's trade this, guys. It's another hit for Boeing that apparently somebody else came out, the New York Times. I'm going to look at the story now. I have not. A big story in the New York Times. A whistleblower comes out and says, I got concerns about this, and this. And management now says, oh, yeah, we took them seriously.
And yet it seems like the reaction, at least that we're seeing right now, based on that, looks like it's Teflon, right? I mean, once again, it's amazing all that's been thrown at Boeing throughout this entire process. And yet, look at where the stock continues to trade. And, Guy, you say it all the time, but price is truth. And here's where the price is, and it's down a little over a buck and a half right now. You'd think that this kind of news would actually hit this stock far harder.
I think one of the things that have been, and Pete's right, I do say it all the time, and it is hung in there rather well. But remember, the market's also at all-time highs. So Boeing has gotten bailed out to a large extent by a broader market that's been impenetrable by any of the short sellers or any of the sellers at large. So one of the things I said is it's going to trade up to 375. I think it fails when it gets there. And to a large extent, that's what's happened. I could easily see this, especially if the market were to make a move to the downside, trading back to those August lows, which is roughly 327 or so.
Steve Grasso, does the CEO need to go? I know he lost his chairmanship. Does he need to
I think he has to go. I think he does have to go. And I know Phil, from listening to Phil, I have great coverage on this. I know he'd disagree with me on this. But if that level, that 325 level that Guy's talking about doesn't hold, we're talking about a stock that's back below 300. So I know it's already fed off of all this bad news, but it seems like it's never ending. I would not be a buyer here, Boeing.